Zaldrizes Buzdaris Gosdau.
Leaks and lore. This is one of the first episodes I'm gonna be covering both. But to be fair, I just made a leaked video yesterday. I'm sure all of you all wonderful people here have seen it. The video was made several weeks ago, but I put the final touches on the editing yesterday and then put it out, right? But I'll run through those, and then this is going to be a multi-part series where in this episode, I'm going to cover my outline for Season 2, how I would do it, right? The first 3 episodes. Then the next episode, I'll do 4, 5, and 6, then 7, 8, and 9, and then the finale will be 10, and we'll refresh all the stuff I mentioned in the previous episode. So look out for those over the next several weeks. These take a while to plan and organize, and even though I'm consistently wearing the same outfit throughout this thing, I've already finished it throughout this whole thing, I promise you, it took me a while to, let's just jump into it. I don't not.
Zaldrizes Buzdaris Gosdau.
Alright, shirtless hunts, here we go, making an appearance again. From my nips below, I'm a fat man, but from upper body, I look pretty damn good. Okay, so this leaked information I'm about to discuss has actually been sent to me a few days ago. Some of it was sent to me as soon as Season 1 started for House of the Dragon. Look, that's doesn't matter, right? But at this point, there should be a video up on YouTube going into way more details. I want to talk about my outline for how I'll do Season 2 House of the Dragon. Maybe if some of the directors are following me, want to take some of my advice, do it. Please. Please. Alright. Okay, so, let's see. Apparently, right, there's some news that Miguel Sapochnik is out, right? Like, that'll probably confirm for sure. The news will be out about that, right? Supposedly, this person told me that Miguel Sapochnik finalized the scripts, right, but then sent a fucking budget approval request to the HBO execs, right? So Casey Bloys and all the people that are in charge of, like, how much money is allotted or whatever to how much money is allotted to each project and, like, the importance and all this stuff. And we all know House of the Dragon as well, but this person says that he wanted $300 million, $350 million to increase the salary of the actors, but also this show, right, to win the Song of Ice and Fire lore, the Dance of the Dragons is known as the bloodiest battle of all time. There's never been a battle that's come even close to the amount of carnage, the amount of people that died, the amount of dragons that died, the amount of bloodshed that was spread across the entirety of the 7 kingdoms. 6, Dorne isn't really involved too much, although they do become involved later on with the Triarchy, right? But for the most part, Westeros has never seen this much bloodshed in known history, right? That's the key word there. It doesn't actually say in known history, but you got to realize that the history of Westeros actually, shout out to my buddy Aziz, history of Westeros. But the actual history of the continent that Westeros is on has it goes back thousands of years. So there probably has been something similar to a Dance of Dragons. Probably had to do with the Dragon Lords who taught Valyria stuff, right? But this is the most insane time frame during known Westeros history, so they need as much money as possible. If I had to guess, I'd say 180, 200, 220 million. That's fucking insane, but like $250 million, God, fuck, right? But they need it, and they probably generate that same amount. Like, not probably, they definitely do, because why the fuck would they sink all this money into something and not, at the very least, make that back, right? Give them as much money as possible would be my advice, but the leaker said $350 million, fucking insane, right? That's obviously nonsense. Now this is something that I did a poll on, like, I guess at this point, it'd probably be like 10 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago, right? But it was one of my most voted in polls, and I said, who do you want to see get it on next season? And Jace, Cregan and Jace was added. My cats, what you doing, buddy? My cat's down here. Say hi, Batman. Say hi, Batman. Say hi, bitch. Say, I fucking meow all fucking day, and this guy fucking doesn't feed me. Spend a good chunk of episode 2, because we all know most people watch episode 1. Episode 2 naturally dips a bit, so you can take a break in the pacing of the storytelling by doing something like spending time with Rhaenyra and how she's dealing with the loss of multiple children, her father, her kingdom, right? She's forced to be on Dragonstone right now until she takes King's Landing. The betrayal, the usurpation, the fact that literally the last conversation she had with Alicent was that Alicent would never have done this. Remember, Rhaenyra was just going back to go settle her kids in Dragonstone, and then she was going to fly right fucking back to King's Landing to make up with Alicent proper like. They were going to be mince like, proper like, right? But no, that didn't happen. Rhaenyra fucking lost her dad, and Alicent fucking lost her mind. So, I would do that. I would have, a good chunk of the episode dealing with Rhaenyra. One of the things I would also do is to start the plot, or the seeds of the plot, for how she's going to take King's Landing. Easily, you do that by having someone who's present at her council meetings mentioning, eventually, the only way to win this war is by taking King's Landing and seating you on the Iron Throne. You put that idea in the audience's head for episode 2, and then in episode 10, when it happens, bam! It's amazing. It's amazing storytelling. And then also, another thing I would do, right? You start the seeds for Rhaenyra taking King's Landing, and then you just show someone making her fucking armor, because obviously she's going to need it. And in canon, she dons black mail and plate and flies across the narrow sea at nighttime and takes King's Landing. And the next thing you know, there's dragons wheeling across the sky, and she's sitting on the fucking Iron Throne dishing out justice lot. Season 3, probably. But her taking King's Landing, Season 2, Episode 10. Spoiler alert for when I get to that part in the video, or in these videos. But you show her armor being made, so that way it's not out of context, because we haven't seen any of these queens on Game of Thrones wearing armor. Like, Sansa and Cersei kind of wear armored dresses, so to speak. Like, Cersei wears an armored corset, and I think Sansa does something similar. But no, Rhaenyra puts on fucking shining plate mail. She looks like an amazing fucking dragon queen knight, right? Riding into battle, and it's dark and stormy out, like the same environment that Daenerys was born in. So the iconology, or the iconicness of having all of these amazing things happen, it just... do it that way. Show the armor being made. Show her, obviously, put the idea in the audience's head that she's going to be taking King's Landing soon, and that'll be the next big, major, massive step she does, aside from the calling of the dragon scenes. And another thing I would do is juxtapose Rhaenyra and how she's ruling with Aegon. Peep in on Aegon. See, peep in. Get it? Haha. Just show how he's adjusting to being a little bitch and being smacked last season, being caught jerking off, right? Show how he's adjusting to power. Show that no one can really do that because he's the fucking king. And if he wants to rape somebody, he can do that. If he wants to... I'm not saying it's right, no, but I'm saying, like, he's the king now, baby. This is his house. So if he wanted to, he can do all of that shit. And it'll be interesting to see, the way the two of them rule their realm. That's what I would do for episode 2. And then also, since we already got introduced to the Dragon Seeds, Hugh Hammer and Nettles, the previous episode, show their two personalities and how they different. So have just one scene with them again, and maybe you could show something about, because, after the battle of at the Gullet, it's mentioned that Nettles is different from Hugh Hammer and Off the White because Nettles is crying. Nettles realizes what the fuck she just did was terrible, and if she had the choice to do it again, she would not fucking do it. And Daemon sees this, and that's part of the reason why Daemon starts to fall for her. So you need to establish early on that she's fucking not a regular dragon rider and doesn't get off on causing violence and carnage. And you can do that by just showing her in a situation where she would choose the more difficult role. And then you prepare the audience for how treacherous Off-White and Hugh the Hammer are by showing them just killing a man in cold blood. Like, have Hugh Hammer beat the shit out of someone who slightly insults him, just show that these these people should not have dragons, and then when they fucking do get dragons, make the audience feel really anxious, and the anxiety rises, and you get nervous watching these motherfuckers on screen because you don't know what they're gonna do. You know, that's how I would do episode 2, and then I would end the episode by having Nettles finally approaching Sheep Stealer, because in episode 3 is when I would in episode 4 is when I would have the drawing of the calling of the dragon seeds. So Nettles would have a break in episode 3, but we already see that she can approach Sheep Stealer and feed the mutton up close, whereas before, in the previous scenes, the dragon wanted nothing to do with her and would say fly away whenever she would get near it. Please hire me, HBO. I promise you have a million ideas, and you could pay me literally a measly sum of $400 million a year. I'm just kidding. I would honestly take $25,000 a year. Like, I would take minimum wage. It's fucking HBO. All right. So episode 3. And I'll just run through these. Because this is really long, and I feel like I don't want to annoy you guys on Patreon. So episode 3, I'd open with blood and cheese. The entire episode reveals the plot to the audience slowly, so no one really knows what the fuck is going on, right? And then you skip King's Landing, go up to Jace arriving in Winterfell, and spend the majority of the episode that Blood and Cheese happens and spend it in Winterfell doing callbacks. Have Veermax in the snow. We get reminiscent shots of Jon Snow and Daenerys on Rhaegal and Drogon, right, in Season 8. Have Jace meet Sarah Snow. Have Jace and Cregan get it on, or the idea that Cregan may be gay, right? Just have that happening, and then in the episode with Blood and Cheese walking down the hall carrying the bloody head of Jaehaerys in a sack, all right? The reason why I say skip Blood and Cheese is because everybody and their fucking mama knows about it. Even if you've never read Fire and Blood, you probably know the details of Blood and Cheese because it's everywhere. So you could reasonably usurp the audience expectations by having the build up to Blood and Cheese. The final moments that we see before it actually happens will be insinuating that they've arrived at the Tower of the Hand, they're knocking on her door, and then ultimately you just hear a blood-curdling scream, fade to black, and then you have Jaehaerys' bloody head in a sack with bright white silver hair poking out of the sack and blood dripping down it, and Blood and Cheese walking down the hallway. Then start episode 4 with them being caught. Obviously, Cheese is never caught. He escapes, but Blood is caught with the head of Jaehaerys, and then as a result, Sir Otto kills all of the rat catchers in King's Landing and brings in cats to get rid of the rat and mice problem. So,